Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to make a pair of hair sticks using our Jessie James Beads Let's Be Mermaids Coral Queen bead mix. There's some really pretty beads in here, and I'm taking out quite a few of them for these. So let's stir down and we'll get started on making these hair sticks. If you have never made hair sticks before, they're pretty easy. I'm going to use these metal sticks, which this pretty vine pattern on it, but they also make wooden ones, which I have one here. So this is what the wooden one looks like if you're going to use a wooden one. Like I say, I'm going to use these metal. And then I also have the beads set out here the way I'm going to make these hair sticks, 1 and 2. And we're going to use some pink rhodochrosite Softflex beading wire in medium, and I also have some crimp tubes and some little oval jump rings out. So of course what we first want to do is get our a piece of wire cut off here. So we don't need a lot. See, about this much is probably more than enough. Let's measure what I got here. All we need is enough to string your beads and bring it back in through once or twice, because you'll want the top and the bottom, of course, to go through. So let's see how much we got here. We have got, well, I haven't cut it yet, but we've got about 6 inches. And that's probably more than what we actually need, like I say. But I like to have a little extra. I'd rather have too much than not enough when I'm making something, as I really, really do not like to have to restring because I've cut it too short. So the first thing we want to do is put on one of our crimp tubes. And that's going to go through our little mermaid tail here. Isn't that cute? So you're going to go through the hole here. And we're going to crimp it. And I like to have at least a little wire here when I'm crimping, so don't want a lot of space here, but I do want some. I don't want it to turn on itself. So there we go. I'm going to leave this much space. And now we're going to crimp this by putting, there's a divot here, our little crimp tube right in the middle of that divot, and squishing down, turning it, squishing some more. And you want to keep turning and squishing this until you've got a little round ball and it's not squishing anymore. Then do a tug test. That's good. And now we'll just string them up how I have the pattern laid out here. Now, I don't think this one has a specific hole in it. I think we just push it from side to side as well as possible. Just about dropped that baby. The smaller ones do have a hole, but this one doesn't appear to have one, so we'll just see if we can sort of get her centered there. That looks pretty good. Then on up the line here. And lastly, this other pink bead. Now see, I have a lot more than I needed. But the next thing we're going to do is crimp this side. Not 2, I don't need 2. And as we're crimping, we're going to put one of the jump rings in. Now we don't need to do this right now, but I like to have a jump ring in when I'm crimping because that gives me some idea of where I want to crimp at. And it doesn't let the crimp just go straight. It won't let it pull off because there's something there to hold on to. So we're just going to keep going down until we get it where we want it. And I think that's pretty good right there. And we're going to pull this up from the bead some, because the crimp tube has to be away from the bead just a hair's breadth so that it can get into the crimp well. So then we put that in there. and squish. Turn it and continue to do your crimping until you feel like it's not crimping anymore. Do a tug test and cut this extra bit of wire off. Now, as you can see, I have an extra like 2 inches, so we could have got away with 5 inches of wire. I like to have a little extra so that I have plenty. So now that this one is done, we can take and open our jump ring. And hook it straight onto the stick through this little opening right here. We want to make sure it's closed so that you don't have to worry about the wire getting through your opening there. There goes the scrape I was looking for. Okay, so this one is finished. Isn't that pretty? So let's get going on the second one. So since I didn't need 6 inches, I could have got away with 5. I think that's what we're going to cut here. And I maybe could even get away with less than that, but I don't want to take the chance. So we're going to cut it right here. And then we don't need our wire anymore. So let's get another crimp tube out and get our mermaid tail on. So through the hole, bring her around through the crimp tube, and pull her up. And let's see about how big this is. I think that's about the same size. Could be maybe a teeny touch smaller, but not too much. It's looking pretty good right there. So we'll crimp this now. And now that we have that on, tug test, it's fine. So we'll go to stringing our beads now. Now, since this doesn't have any particular specific holes, you want to be careful about making sure your line is pretty straight so it'll go in pretty good. See, that's a little bit off-sided. So I want it to go through this hole right here, I believe. Yeah, that looks pretty straight. And then back through here again. Now see, I have less wire, but I could have even used that even a little less if I had chosen to. But I don't want to use too little because then it becomes hard to feed it through your crimps. And let's face it, the last thing you want is hard to get your crimps on. So now let's see how it compares to this side. Pretty good. Make sure we have a little space. Get our crimp earth in there and squish and turn it and squish again. Okay, now that we have that, give it a tug test, cut loose this spare wire. And then hook it to our stick. So we'll open up our jump ring with our side-to-side motion. Put it on the stick and tighten her back up the same way we loosened by pushing side to side. And there we are, all attached. Well, now I see that this is a little bit up, so we're going to take our plier and put in here and just squish these together to make sure they're pretty evenly squished. And they look pretty good now. So there we go. One set of really pretty Coral Queen mermaid tail hair sticks. Okay, I hope you enjoyed making these pretty little hair sticks with me. Aren't those cute? And wouldn't those be adorable in your hair? Like that. Anyway, there we go. Our pretty little Mermaid's Tails hair sticks made with our Let's Be Mermaids Coral Queen JJB bead mix. Hope you enjoyed this. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. Bye-bye.